What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Between Two Tales. My name is Kevin. I'm joined by my co-host Dave. This is episode 23. That means we're about to create our 23rd news story. Thank you to everyone who's tuning back in, and welcome to every new listener that we have. But for the new people that are just coming in who might not know exactly what we do, Dave, why don't you give them the rundown of what we're doing?
Again, thank you to for the repeats. It really means a lot to us. And for those of you who are new, what you're about to witness is a story conceptualized from beginning to end. So we're creating an outline for a story using 5 random generated words. On top of that, we will be generating 2 images. Again, completely random. We don't know what it is. You're going to see us generate these images and words. And in some shape or form, we have to use those words and images in our story. For the words, it could be something someone says. It could be an idea that we incorporate into the overall story. It could be a descriptor, whatever shape or form. We just have to generate those words. Again, this story, we have no idea what this story is going to be about. You're gonna see us figure out what it is we want to write about based off of those words. At the very end of our story, we're going to go ahead and put our story up against perhaps the biggest test ever, Kevin. I mean, we're talking about man versus machine.
That's right, Matrix.
What am I talking about, Kevin? We're talking about AI. Kevin,
That's
I'll
right.
let you go ahead and let the folks know what we're talking about.
That's right. We're like Neo and the Resistance, and we're fighting against these machines. But after we're done with our story, we're going to give an AI tool called ChatGPT the same prompt, similar details to what we've used, and we're going to see what story that spits out and compare it to our man-made story. So far, though, 23 episodes in, I would say that our stories have always had the edge. Some close, but other times not even close at all. Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens today. So without further ado, let's generate these words. Let me go here. Random word generator. 1 click. Lid, rebel, exchange, available, relieve. Nice.
Yeah, those are some good words. Okay.
I had some ideas already popping in. Rebel and exchange could work pretty well together.
I think so.
Hostage exchange, because someone's a rebel.
Maybe.
We'll see. All right, let's generate these images. Last week, we asked for something random, and we got an AI-generated parasite. So that was interesting.
That's right.
So we'll see what we get this week. Random image generator. All right. Generate.
Give us something.
What?
A golden cow?
Golden cows. Looks like a whole bunch of them. And looks like the world is falling apart. A stampede of golden cows.
Yeah.
Are
they in water?
Yeah, they are in water. And there's skyscrapers falling apart in the background.
They have blue eyes.
There's a whole lot going on here that I'm not sure about. Golden cows. Stampede of golden cows. Let's write this down. Flooded street. And then there's buildings falling apart. Well, we asked for random.
Oh, we got it.
I don't think it could have get more random than this. All right. Well,
that's something.
This is funny because the first time we generated words, we got like images. We got like cheese, flour, lemon, and lime. And now we're getting some AI parasites, golden cows. Interesting. All right. Well, one more image.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What? Oh, man.
Assassin's Creed looking.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Dude. All right. What does the descriptor say? Knight, armor, and red cape. All right. So there's a knight. He's got, I thought it was a Superman crest on his back, but
I think it's just so random.
Yeah, just random crest.
I did think of Assassin's Creed because look at his pose in those arms. It looks like Assassin's Creed.
And the hood, yeah.
We'll go ahead and start our timer.
Knight
So
Red Cape.
I think we have a hostage exchange sometime in the mid ages.
I think someone has a spell that calls on golden cows to stampede, and he just ends up destroying a town.
Yeah. And it gets flooded or something. I'm thinking almost like a 300 esque time period and stylization.
Yeah, unless our knight ends up going in the future or something.
Well, a good thing is all those things, all the words and stuff that we have could take place in the Middle Ages, which is unique. Most of our stories take place either in the future or current times.
I think the closest we came, we made a story in feudal Japan. I
Yeah,
forgot what episode number. That's the earliest we went back.
right. So if we go back to Middle Ages knights, could be an
Golden
assassin.
cows.
A classic story. They have to exchange. Someone's kidnapped. They have to make an exchange for them. It goes bad. Maybe you have to exchange golden bowls for them, and it goes bad or something. The rebels end up taking the person that they're trying to exchange for or something, and chaos ensues as they try to get back whoever they're trying to go for.
Right, I was almost thinking Trojan horse
Yeah,
like the golden cows can be the Trojan horse. And
yeah,
that's why there's buildings falling apart because the rebels have infiltrated
yeah. What
whatever.
if? Okay, keeping up with that Trojan horse, theme and idea. What if like it's the night is like a very important night, and some folks ended up taking his like wife or whatever.
The princess he's guarding.
Maybe turns into a Disney film. Then they end up taking his wife or whatever, and he goes on this hunt. He tries to do it honorably, even though they're not. These rebels aren't honorable. Tries to make an exchange for something else, money for the wife. That goes wrong, and then, or no, excuse me, we incorporate these golden bowls. Tries to make an exchange. He said, "I'll give you these golden bowls from my collection." Try to make a exchange. It goes wrong. The rebels ended up taking it wrong, and he goes on like a vicious murdering spree to either get his wife back or get revenge if we end up killing her off. One way or another, he wants their heads. Either the end goal is to just wipe them off the face of the earth, or to get his value, whatever he valued back.
I also thought of another interesting angle since we were talking about Assassin's Creed. I'm using inspiration from a manga I just finished. But what if this guy is maybe he's not a bad guy, but he ends up in maybe wrong place, wrong time, or he got
Mhm.
framed, and he just ends up with a band of rebels and other people, other criminals. And if they want to be pardoned of their crimes, they get sent to an island
Mhm.
where they have to capture these golden bulls or something and bring it back. But the people or beings on that island aren't just going to let them come in and take their golden bulls. They're going to end up fighting back, and it'll be like this whole thing of these guys are trying to fight for their freedom, but there's these beings that aren't going to let them get away safely.
I want to add something, just another twist. As soon as you said, end up wrong place, wrong time, being caught up with criminals, getting in trouble, right? That made me think of The Count of Monte Cristo, which is a book and a film. But I was like, okay, we could have this person be wrong place, wrong time, ends up in trouble. You had this island where they sent off to. So he sent off to this island for punishment or whatever, torture. Maybe he was set up and he has to escape this island, which is a task on itself, and then extract revenge from those that, you know, did him wrong. And the
Yeah,
way he
yeah.
and the way he goes about doing it is he becomes a knight. Maybe he wasn't one before, but he becomes a knight. He like infiltrates. Maybe they're higher up in
Hmm.
society, like, or they by the time he escapes, they are like years past. They ascend the social ladder and becomes this. renowned, feared, legendary almost knight. Like he ends up becoming this, right? He has these fights, blah blah. Comes this, and his look is different, and he's just on this like he's there to just kill him. And maybe we incorporate this Trojan horse idea to where they think, at this point, the folks that betrayed him are like, living the lavish lifestyle, and they think this gift of like these golden bulls are going to be delivered to them. And they open up their gates or they open up their homes, whatever, and they receive this gift, and inside of it is like their worst nightmare or something. I don't know, either to kill them or maim them or whatever. But it's not what it seems, and it's all just this attempt by this guy to extract revenge for what they levied against him and the torture that he went through on this island. And it's like every day for years on this island, as he was tortured and locked away, he just thought about, maybe some days were harder than others. He tried to kill himself maybe or whatever, but eventually just that hate and that passion for revenge just overtook him. He's just like, I'm going to get them one of these days. And he has to get close to them. And the way he does this by becoming this like legendary knight. And they don't know his, obviously his name. He'll change his name, trick them. And, knights have they're covered. So they don't even know what he looks like, but, maybe he looks different. But I always thought that Count Monte Cristo a little bit different because that's more of like a love interest in politics. But I always loved that story just because it's like in the book, it's a pure revenge story. In the film, they changed it so that way he ends up getting back with the lady that his friend betrayed him for. But like, we're not, let's remove any of that stuff and just be like, they set this man up dirty. And he was not the one, and they just don't see it coming. And we see this dude plan the revenge of his friends or whatever.
All right, interesting. So I was getting like the Odyssey, reminded me of
Yeah,
the Odyssey, kind
yeah,
of like that
sure.
thing.
I could see that. Yeah,
Because Odysseus comes back and he kills everybody.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think people forget about that.
yeah. He's coming back, and people are getting killed, man. Like
I also like what you said about the 300 too, because it's like those Spartans; those are like the best of the best
yeah.
knights or whatever.
Oh, maybe he was. Maybe underneath his real name, right? He was like the right hand man of the general, and the general, who he trusted, made a deal with the opposing army or force to lay arms and to give up, give slaves or something like this. And he ends up giving his right hand man over. Something, I don't know. Then there's that first betrayal. And then, he seeks help, is betrayed again. Let's just say he's betrayed 3 times. And then it's like he ends up in this island of, where he's in a state of despair and lack of trust and just
Yeah,
wants
I
revenge.
like the 300 aspect because that's just an inherent trauma and backstory that we depends on how we make it. But like those guys are like the cream of the crop, right?
Yeah.
They're in charge of defending the empire, and they're like the best of the best. That's why they can take on thousands of Persian soldiers or whatever happened in that story. So maybe another angle that just popped in my head. Let's say this guy is I don't know, maybe like he's part or a citizen of a pretty evil empire, and the way this empire is ruthless, they want to have the best of the best soldiers. So maybe all men 16 years or up, they get sent to this death island where they got to duke it out
Okay. Okay.
to trim the fat.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
whoever makes it out of that island,
Yeah.
they're part of, the king's like personal guard or
Yeah.
just a part of the army. That's why this evil empire is so good, because they got, each one of their soldiers survived
Right.
this island experience. And if we're going to turn it into revenge, maybe the king, maybe the dude's parents tried to escape or hide him before,
When they kill the parents.
yeah, and they murdered the parents, could be, or depends on when we ship them off there.
Yeah, but maybe
at a
they
young
murder the
age.
parents, and then he gets sent. He doesn't even get to go to this place. He gets to this other island. So there's one island for those who become parts of the King's Guard, right? So like, let's put it like this. Let's even put more levels. King's Guard is like the highest duty you can have from your cast, right? And instead, it's like he'll go into like the main army. So like the parents try to hide him, they get murdered, and he still gets sent off to a different island. And it's like for those who are to be in the army, and because it's like lower status, they actually just beat, torture you, and teach you to fight. Like, but they use fear as their tactic, not necessarily as you're like the best. But he might end up becoming the best out of them, and whatever. I don't know. We can where we go from there. But it's like just setting him on the lower rungs. So family gets killed, gets sent to the lower rungs of this fighting hierarchy. He's still on the lower rungs, has to prove himself. He's getting tortured, blah, blah, blah. And, it just creates more resentment, let's say, for revenge.
And we can make it even more interesting. Maybe he had a little brother. His little brother got shipped off to the King's Guard Island, and maybe they have to have a standoff.
They have to fight. Yeah. And not only that, the brother, I'll say younger brother, is brainwashed in a sense.
Stone cold.
Right. As he
Stone
dies,
cold killer.
he but yeah, he's brainwashed, and as the younger brother dies, let's say if he does end up winning, he resents having to fight his older brother. But when as they go into the fight, he's like, "Are you prepared to die, brother?" You know, and he's just like, "Back out now while you still can." He says, "King's Guard, King's Guardsmen don't back out of fights." I don't know.
I have no brothers.
My brothers are the King's Guards.
So we have an island dedicated for churning out King's Guard. Then
Yeah,
we have kind of like a death island.
for like
Criminals and
pretty much
lower.
yeah, it's the infantry. It's like who they just send in to die, pretty much. They're just like, hey,
Right.
push back against this. But the King's Guardsmen are like even more. You know, there's it's like you got the SEALs team, right? I'm not even sure if I want to make a comparison, but you have like everyone else who's in military, whether it be Army, Marines, etc., who do their jobs and do their jobs well. But you have the elite of the elite. That's basically what I'm trying to make the difference here. But in this society, it's even more effed up because we're talking about U.S. military. Obviously they're trained and etc. and they do what they do. But in this society, back Middle Ages, it's like they're more medieval, and they go about things differently. And so you still have like you have your elite fighters, and then they just consider anyone not elite fighter just like, oh, whatever, like you're there to die and die with pride for the kingdom.
I'm wondering if interesting. I'm wondering if they ship the best fighters off the regular island to the King's Guard Island just to keep on funneling people there, and then maybe he comes out after his brother has already left, but he still has revenge in his heart. And now he's in the King's Guard too, but his brother's there, but he's trying to exact revenge. Anyway works, I
Yeah,
guess.
it could be like he gets out, and instead of even being a part of the army, he's just an assassin, or he's just kind of like a loner who's trying to extract revenge. Since he's part of the King's Guard, I mean, maybe he's actually, tasked with guarding the king or keeping the king safe.
Well, should we make him like an official person
Who?
inside the kingdom, or should he be like a vagabond,
I
like
think he,
lones in
I
place?
think he turns into that after he gets out of the army.
Okay.
So he's in the army, he's doing all this, they're going to war, whatever, and then he escapes some way, and with the sole purpose of like, he's probably been there for years, 5 years, 6, 7 years. It's like he somehow survived. He's battered, but he survived. He has a skill set now of killing. He's no stranger to death, and he's like, I must avenge my parents. Maybe he always wanted to avenge them, but he just didn't have the opportunity because he either didn't have the skill set or it wasn't the right time Now he thinks he has the right time. By this point, his younger brother, maybe 2 years younger, let's say, is also like risen through his own ranks, and is formidable. And they eventually have this dance, and then whether he actually kills the king or not.
Yeah, what makes this interesting is like he'll come to find that his younger brother probably had a worse life than him
Yeah,
on that King's Guard Island.
yeah,
I would imagine so, if they're trying to find the best of the best.
yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know,
I mean, it sounds like both of them are going to go through hell. It's just that one is told a better story of why the hell is matters, and the other one is told a story that their hell is just their seat in life, and so be it. Deal. And others is like, you're there to die for the kingdom, and the king's guards are like, you guys are the top of the top in heaven. There'll be women, wine, and food waiting for you, and and your names will be carved in stone, and you'll be remembered as the greatest warriors ever. You know what I mean? I don't know, but it's just like pump them up. You know, they think in terms of glory, and the infantrymen think in terms of like they don't want them to think really. They just want
I
them to
still
go.
I still like the idea of using the golden cows as the Trojan horse.
I think we still can.
Yeah, I think an idea I have, in some kingdoms they split up because either there's like a struggle over who
Mm.
between siblings on who's going to become the king, like, and then one person just takes over while the other sibling just goes and starts his own kingdom with some land. So maybe that's like the context, the background, and his family is trying to escape to go with this the other kings, go to the other king's kingdom, but caught. They get caught up. The evil kings like reign, get murdered, and then the guy who's he's on the regular army island getting trained up. He's in constant battles with this other king that separated from the kingdom. Maybe he gets captured and helps them exact revenge through like the Trojan horse using the golden cows or whatever. And then once he's in there infiltrated, he meets his younger brother,
Hmm.
who's a king's guard.
And I'm sure that there's a part of him that's like tries to get his brother to align with his agenda. I'm sure
Yeah,
that's like a conversation, or that's probably a scene or two where it's just like, you know, maybe he sees how loyal he is to the king and he's hesitant, but then he's like, they still killed our mother and father, and then realizes that his brother just doesn't care. He's like, they deserved it. They deserve to die. Disloyal subjects of the king. I don't know.
yeah. I
Maybe,
feel
maybe,
like
maybe they were killed not even for hiding them. Maybe they were killed because they were going to go with, you know, during this potential split up or the split up of the kingdom.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like they were like, we side with the other brother, and was found out,
got stopped.
got stopped, and got killed for it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that
That's
sounds.
interesting. I feel like that always happens in like
Yeah,
the Viking movies and medieval movies I've watched. Like
yeah,
kingdom splits up. There's like one because they can't decide who's going to be a king of this whole thing,
right,
and there's always one person that's good and the other guy's evil, but they are both looking for the same thing for
right.
power.
Does the main protagonist, does he? And you might have already said this, but maybe I just didn't hear it. But does he fight for the other kingdom, or is he doing it on himself?
I feel like
I feel like he starts off for himself, and then word gets back to just a person like causing havoc in the other kingdom, and then that brother, the other brother's like,
then he gets recruited.
yeah, they end up like making contact through obviously through someone else, and they're just like, we see that you causing problems for the evil Kevin. Yes, and they're like, why don't you fight on the holy side of David, King David?
Let's see.
And that could be like, but here's the thing, he doesn't necessarily need to fight on his behalf. They might just like that he's causing all these issues, and maybe this guy doesn't even say like, yeah, I'll join King David's side. Maybe he's just like, I'm kind of doing my own thing. But they also, and I mean, they do what the US does. They may not fight with you, but maybe they finance it in a sense. Help him out, give him gold, give him resources, weapons, whatever. Like they're not necessarily they're not necessarily pulling him in, but they're like, well, we like what you're
Right.
doing. We like
It's
what you're
kind of
doing.
like
So here's some
they have
weapons.
they have different objectives, but they have the same enemy.
Right. And they're not pretty much, the other kingdom's like, we're not going to get in your way. Actually, we're going to give you stuff. You're not necessarily fighting under us, but like, here's some stuff and go keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that. Can
All
definitely
right.
do that. Let's see.
Okay.
Lid, Rebel, Exchange.
So Rebel's easy because obviously the
Is
established
rebel them. Yeah.
kingdom is going to think that the others are rebels. I mean, that's easy. Exchanging thoughts, ideas, money, cash,
We'll
weapons.
exchange the golden cows
The
as
golden
a
cow. Like there's
false thing of
yeah.
peace. So
We
for the Trojan horse.
and that also accounts for knight and armor, red cape, because we're gonna put this man in armor, red cape. And then we have available. I mean, we can work in available and relieve.
Yeah, Lid. We could put that in the beginning when his parents are trying to escape. They're hiding
Hiding in like a basket.
in like a what's those things? A wheelbarrow or yeah, it
Kind of
has a
like
cover, a
or
lid.
like a really large basket that has a lid on it that like
Yeah.
they put up the horses, flatbed. The horses kind of take it and go, and they're hiding. So yeah, all right. Let's get to our characters' names. We're at just a little bit more than an hour to go.
Make good time, I think. I
Yeah,
think last week we
kind of
got beat by the timer.
we were too in depth. I think this time what we should do is just kind of like roughly, like rough. This happens roughly. This happens,
Right.
and then we can go back up and push into detail. But from beginning to end, like within 10 bullet points, middle to end, 10 bullet points are just like here's what happens, and
Right.
then we'll just add meat to it because at least we know if we end up having to, you know,
Go off the top.
yeah, if we end up having to do some improv, at least we know where it's headed.
That's
All
right.
right. So for males, protagonist, Jim Fraser. No, that's not
Need some
even.
medieval
I
names.
was about to say, like, that's not even the name of that time period.
Bob.
I wonder when people started to use the word Jim. I can't imagine someone from the Middle Ages being like, "Hey, Jim."
Right. Need some old English names.
Robin. Robin was a name back then.
Arthur.
Arthur. Jerome.
William.
Arthur. William. Esmond.
Godfrey.
Henry.
Henry, of course.
Frederick was definitely a name.
Of course.
David, of course.
Randolph. Ricard. Wolf.
Hold on. Let's actually Google that. Medieval names. And I think
That's what I'm looking at.
there is a.
That's what I'm looking at.
That's what you're looking at.
Brian. Bruce. Farman. Drogo. Jeremy. Mark. Milo. Rex.
Hawk.
He's
Lancaster. It's like a last name.
Bertwin. Bartlett.
Bartlett.
Bartholomew.
Beatrice. Well, that could be his mother's name.
Drogo.
Aldo. Baldwin. Benedict. You think you said that?
Kenrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar. Gavin. Oh, we gotta go with Gavin. You know why? You ever play what's that Rockstar game with the horses, man?
Red Dead Redemption?
Red Dead Redemption. You ever play that?
No.
In Red Dead 2, I think, right? I think that's the most latest one, but at this point it's been a couple of years. There's a character that every town you go into, he's always saying, "Have you seen Gavin? Where's Gavin?" And you can shoot him or rope him up or whatever. He's always yelling for Gavin. I feel like we gotta use the word. You got either somewhere someone's a Gavin.
His brother could be Gavin. Or
All
he
right.
could be Gavin. Doesn't matter to me.
Brother Gavin. Gavin's gonna die.
We need 2 king names.
Yeah.
And a name for his brother.
So, all right, here we go. So Otto. So King Otto. So this will be the king that separates, right? So basically
the good guy.
Yeah, new king.
King Solomon.
King Tobias.
King Aldrith.
Well, let's
King
medieval
King Thaddeus,
English kings.
King Quentin,
I'm gonna look up the medieval kings. Hopefully, I mean that's what I thought. Yeah, Charles Henry Edwards Williams, Richard.
King Lucian, King Lucifer.
That's what I thought. They all named each other after each other, or at least that's the names that they took on. Because I know they can change their names. Here, let's do it like this. So we're gonna say evil medieval English kings. 5 of England's worst medieval kings. All right, here we go. John the First, Edward the Second, Richard the Second, Henry Fourth, Richard the Third. All right.
Seems like Richard is an evil guy.
Was there 2 Richards? There was.
There's
All right.
King Richard,
King Richard.
the evil man. King Richard. And his hand is named, the hand of the king is named Dave. Okay, so we got King Otto and King Richard. Now we got one more boy name. I think you said one that we could probably kind of stuck. Tobias. Could make that whoever. His brother.
Gavin is his brother. And the protag. Oh, you still need a name, huh? We'll call the protagonist Philip. Want to be that? Philip. Ooh.
Ezra. Wade.
Alfred. Arthur. Yeah, Arthur. Why not?
Leon.
Leon. It makes me think of Curb Your Enthusiasm. We're going with Arthur? Or are we going with Leon? I don't care, whichever one.
Let's roll with Leon.
Leon. All right. Leon, Gap, King Otto, King Richard. All right. So we got that. So let's go through our 10 quick bullets. So just to get some skeletal here, we have the beginning, empire being split up.
It's under civil unrest.
Yeah. Right. Parents.
2 kings or two brothers who are trying to ascend, take the throne. King Otto decides to split his kingdom away from King Richard. Gavin and Leon's parents side with King Richard or King Otto. Upon attempting to escape to follow King Otto, they get caught by some of King Richard's henchmen, murdered. Right. Gavin and Leon sent to the.
Maybe so like when they get murdered, they're put on trial. And how do they murder people back then, man? They probably put them through the guillotine or something, or hung and left for display of those who try to flee.
Right, beheading, guillotine. I'm sure there's other ways.
No, they just leave them hung up in the court square for those who, if you try to escape the King Otto side, this is the fate that awaits you.
Right.
Okay, so kids get placed.
2 separate ships.
That's right.
I said, send the older one to the infantry and send this young one to the King's Guard.
Yeah, send the King's Guard. See if he survives.
Yep.
It's not necessarily even like a good thing for him. It's not a good thing for either one of them. I mean, they could be killed separate in different ways. But at least the King's Guard,
Well, the King's Guard,
brainwashing.
They got to kill their own countrymen.
Yeah.
To trim the fat. The other one, they just got to go to war against Otto.
So we have our beginning, right? We have this whole civil unrest thing.
Uh-huh.
Then we go to our early midpoint. What do we call him? Not Otto. Leon is in the infantry training. He's beaten and broken to a soldier. Keep it kind of simple. Beaten and broken into a soldier. He's told his life has no value other than to die for the kingdom of Richard the Great.
Richard the Butcher.
And then that's what they call him in the barracks. Gavin is in the... Well, you know what? Maybe we don't even show Gavin's life yet. We learn more later.
We got to show Gavin in a room full of other kids.
I know how you do it. What you do is I mean, we're going into more detail. Well, we have the time. So Leon is told by his roommates what goes on in the King's Guard. We see. So if this was like a film, as like one of his roommates, I kind of envision like a barracks, and then they're all kind of talking as one of them is kind of describing what goes on in the King's Guard. We kind of see it unfold for Gavin. So
Yeah.
we see it unfold for Gavin fighting for his life,
We see them. I think we should
bodies.
show him in a room full of other kids of similar ages or people of different ages. I don't know. However, we want to put it, but they're in a room,
Yeah.
and well, it's gotta be bloodthirsty. A guard drops a knife and says, "Only one of you makes it out of here," and locks the door.
And what you could have is like bodies piled up high, of those who didn't already make it. And then they go into this room where they have to, like, they pair them off maybe. And they're just like, put a knife in the middle of the room and they have everyone go to other sides of the room. And they're like, get to the knife first, kill your opponent. If you walk out of this alive, you're, welcome to the King's Guard.
Now, welcome to the next phase. Oh, they're gonna be trimming. They're making the 300 over there out of pure brutality.
That's what happens there. So we got a little bit of that. Okay, so we go back to Leon. He whispers. See, once you start the details, Kev, he whispers to himself, he will save his brother.
And get revenge on King Richard.
Get revenge, King Richard. That's right. We go through tough days for Leon in training, like a little montage type deal. Then one day they are told they are going to war against King Otto's men.
They march to the battlefield.
All right.
Again.
As they march to the battlefield, they are reminded, reminded that their, I almost want to say sole duty is to die, but reminded that their sole purpose is to die for the crown.
They're just pawns.
That's right.
They're maybe Leon sees whoever is commanding the forces on that battlefield. He's treating them like pawns. He's like just sending people in to die.
He's like, just charge them. He's like, what do you mean, this instant death? What does do as you say?
He sends this group in. They all get taken down by arrows. He's like, all right, next group, go.
Leon sees the men get
slaughtered, slaughtered like cattle.
Slaughtered like cattle, and more waves are sent in without any thought from the generals. Just do it. All right, so we have this. He sees war, and maybe at this point, he kind of, well, all right. So we need to jump, right? So here's the thing. So this happens. The battle ends. They have lost. Leon is injured, alive.
Got a couple cuts.
Nah, man.
Slice.
Couple slice. They tell him they are going to, pretty much bandage him up and put him back in. Leon is bewildered.
Does he become a deserter?
Well, is that how they are going to put him back into war. So here's the thing. So here's what I'm thinking, right? Battle ends. They've lost. Leon is injured but alive. They bandage him up, put him back in. He's like, "What in the world? Why can't I leave? Whatever." They're gonna put him back in ward. Fast forward for 3 years. That seems about appropriate for this kind of thing. Fast forward 3 years. Leon is.
That's how much time those people spent camping outside of castles.
That's true. Fast forward 3 years. Leon is alive and has
still in front of the same castle.
Gone through many skirmishes. His body looks ragged,
full of battle scars.
Yep. All right, so we have this. Body looks ragged, but he knows how to fight well and is in charge of a smaller unit. The men like him as he uses strategy instead of just throwing them in. So like they still don't look at them. They still look at them as like pawns, but he probably commands like 10 folks, and they actually use strategy, right? So we see him demonstrate his strategic mindset with some kind of you can see that. Okay. At the end, so here's all right. Actually, here's how this happens. So we're gonna put it together. So 3 years, he looks ragged. He still fights with a smaller unit of 10 men, right? The men like him, blah blah. And we see this demonstrated in this battle. So in this battle where the general is killed, and Leon sees this as a chance to desert
General gets killed.
the army.
Leon deserts and takes off.
He cuts through the trees, ends up on the river's edge. What have I done? He asks himself as he looks into the water.
At his reflection,
That's right.
sees a pile of bodies behind him.
He sees the man he has become.
He sees a mountain of skulls behind him.
There we go. He looks up, sees his parents on the opposite shore,
shaking their head in disappointment.
Now he's gonna go. He's gonna go into game time on the opposite shore, just staring at him, and like a dream, they disappear. Revenge takes Leon's.
He just sees red.
All right, so revenge. All right, so now we go mid. So now we gotta kind of start to formulate how he's gonna go about this revenge.
Maybe he starts off small, goes to villages that are controlled by King Richard, starts like killing
off top folks there,
killing off like the people who control the landowners there or something, or whatever they're called. People who own that land.
Yeah,
who it was given to by King Richard.
So Leon goes to the villages nearby and takes out landowners who
the nobles.
Yeah.
Those are usually nobles, right?
I don't remember. Takes out the nobles who use slave children to work their property. My man needs to become a knight.
Kills off. Well, he doesn't need to. That knight could be his brother.
That's true.
Like that knight.
True. Yeah.
That knight could be his brother, the final boss.
That's true. Well, a boss. So Leon. All right. So Leon liberates the children.
Kills off the noble.
Liberates the children.
Liberates the village.
Slaves, etc. Stories are told about a man who.
Or do they pass around like, how they like turn there's like these feats into like they don't think it's human. They tell it's like a.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're telling you stories. These tales, these tall tales.
There's a man who's immortal.
Yeah, they call him the Immortal One.
The Immortal Blade. He's slicing up all King Richard's noblemen.
They call him the Immortal. Word of the deaths and liberations get back to King Richard.
Ooh, should we have him? This would be a good. All depends. Should we have him fight like a King's Guard right away, so he gets a feel? Maybe like King Richard said.
Well,
we'll send off.
Gets back to King Richard, and he's like, "Send my men to do their deed." Or it's like one of them. Dispose of him.
Right.
King Richard tells his team to dispose of this villain, of this wolf in sheep's clothing, ruining his empire.
Dispose of this nuisance.
Of this leech, this tick in my thigh. All right, so he goes, all right, take care of him. All right, so Leon gets to another noble's property. It's heavily guarded it's heavily guarded with some army people. And then as he gets to like, he's going to go kill the noble, that's when one of the king's men steps out and it's
He
just
fights
like,
one of the king's guards. Then
yeah.
he's like, "Oh, you're not a regular soldier."
Yeah, I mean, and you can see, he comes in armor, like proper armor. He's a knight.
Huh?
So Leon gets to Noble's property. He's heavily guarded by army men. He kills them off and goes inside for the noble. But what awaits something scary, right? So a king's guard
His
knight
most dangerous foe
awaits him,
yet.
stands there posing and formidable. All right, so he stands there. He looks like he's man's about to straight up cut your head off.
Battles with the dude. He should almost die, and
Yeah.
under lucky circumstances that
So
he wins.
So Leon battles him. The fight is hellish and hard. He gets almost gutted with a large gash to his midsection. The knight stands over him, asking if he has last word.
And then the knight gets shot in the
As
leg with
as
a crossbow.
as the knight is about to deliver the final blow, Leon. Should it come from a separate arrow?
Yeah, maybe it should be like a kid from the village or something shot the dude.
I'm with you.
Just like some random luck.
Yeah, the kid.
So Leon knows that if he has to fight any more of these dudes at this point in time, he doesn't have the skill to kill one of them.
So a kid shoots an arrow into the knight's back. So the knight turns around, stunned, and falls over to his knees.
Leon takes this chance,
Gets up and
beheads him,
relieves him. That's one of our words. Relieves him of his head.
or leaves his head from his body.
The kid stands shaking like a leaf in the wind. Leon comforts the boy, thanking him,
But he's also bleeding out, so he passes out.
and tells the boy to get help. Before passing out. Oh, this is a nice little story here. Leon awakes to find he's, stitched up in a old wooden home.
A shack.
Yeah. An elder steps in and tells him he's in the slave shacks off the side of the property. Not to worry, the nobles and the knights are too above coming over to the slave shacks. They probably.
I feel like they should have ran off.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. They probably.
Yeah.
They probably think he's dead. Well, they should put him in the shack, and then what ends up happening is he has to leave.
Right.
Like they have him there temporarily because they're just like they think you're dead, but it's not going to last forever.
Well, I mean, like after he kills the king's guard, the noble leaves the premises. Like he leaves that village. Yeah.
I think in general, like this slave is kind of, or once the slave is kind of saying this as like, don't worry, they'll never come over here.
Right.
They ran off, Not to worry, the nobles and the knights are too above coming over to the slave shacks. Right. Dead. So Leon heals, but wonders if he can really take on the knight. Oh, excuse me, the king. Knowing
maybe he should have asked this elder dude, who the hell was that knight dude? Because he doesn't know. Or
no, he does know. Because remember, like even when he was younger, they were talking about it.
Oh, right.
So like he knows they exist, but he just didn't realize like he didn't necessarily think it had some difference to do with their ability to fight. Like they get training on this. But here's the thing: I'm about to add in another little story.
All right.
So Leon wonders, he heals, but wonders if he can really take on the king, knowing there's, more knights to get through, etc. All right, here we go. The slave tells Leon that he watched him battle and he knows he's good, but needs to up his skills. Leon asks how. Who would he find to do so?
The guy says, "I'm your Yoda."
That's right. The slave tells Leon that he was once
A king's guard.
king's guard.
Okay, I'm with you.
And obviously,
I like that.
that's like a big reveal of like how the hell did the king's guard like end up as a slave? Like that could be an interesting like little thing. But like he's stunned, you know. He's like, "What? Like how's this guy? I never heard of that, right?" So the slave tells Leon that he was once a king's guard. Leon's face questions what he was told.
Oh, the
The
guy just, I mean, he doesn't support King Richard, so they made him a slave.
Yeah, the slave tells him. There you go. Slave tells him he didn't support King Richard and was sent and was deemed death was too good for him. He must live out his days as a slave, not getting away from this easily and quickly. All right, we have about 24 minutes. All right, we're pretty good. So Leon
Oh, well,
trains.
we got to get King Otto back to
Well, this guy
fund
keep coming.
Leon,
So
fund
so
Leon support.
not Leon trains with the slave. Should probably give him a name, but we'll call him the slave for now.
Sir,
He was called
Sir something, Sir Shakespeare, Sir William.
sure, whatever, Sir Williams. So Leon trains with the slave, Sir William. He teaches
Learning
him the
the
technique.
King's Guard sword.
Yeah, he teaches the techniques of the King's Guard. Then one day, he tells Leon he's taught him everything from the King's Guard, but there's something he was taught that wasn't by them. And so that's to use stealth as a skill
Using stealth.
because they weren't necessarily concerned with stealth, and he's going to teach them how to be stealthy. And that's
Sir
like,
William's going to teach him.
yeah, that's like another skill set on top of that. So Leon learns stealth. Okay, super broad. Okay, so now we have mid late. Leon leaves his mentor to take on the revenge and to find his brother. As he does, he takes out more in infantry. One day,
He runs into King Otto.
that's well, yeah, one of his men. Yeah, one day as he sits in a pub, bar, I don't know, sits in a pub, a man approaches and asks if he can sit with him. Leon rejects offer. The man sits anyway.
Oh, it should be King Otto in a disguise, like under a hood.
Well, King Otto's being a king, man. That's too low for a king. It has to be like one of his feet folks. So like the way I have it, or the way I think about it is like as Leon he's either about to kill him or escape because he's like, yo, who is this guy? The guy like shows him something, you know, I don't want to say like a badge, but like shows him something that like he knows what side he's on, and it's like,
Well, shows him Otto's crest.
yeah. Says Leon is about to leave. The stranger shows Otto's crest.
Hooded, mysterious stranger.
Leon asks, "Who are you, and what do you want?" The stranger tells Leon that they've been looking for him on the orders of King Otto himself.
And use one of our words. He should ask him, "Are you available to help
That's right.
with King Otto's?"
The stranger asks if he's available. Yeah, he's available to help with their mission to take down King Richard. Leon says he goes it alone. The stranger tells him they won't stop him, but they won't stop him, and they are willing to give him weapons and make weapons. Yeah, there might be something interesting there. Leon says that will work for him, but what do they get out of it? The stranger tells him they know his parents are the ones that were hung for treason. We just want just and fair society. he can help bring it. Leon.
Did they tell him the plan with the golden bulls? And maybe that's how.
Oh,
Maybe he ends up meeting King Otto. Like they say, they have a plan to infiltrate King Richard's kingdom, and could really use his help. They'll give
yeah,
him all the resources he needs.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let me just look at this. Did we use the word rebel? I mean, I know we could use it in the beginning, but
Yeah, we could use it in the beginning.
hung
Just say
left
like
for display as they tried to flee,
we could just say King Richard.
considered rebels.
Yeah, King Richard announces that anyone who takes King Otto's side is considered a rebel
Yeah,
and is subjected to death.
subjected to death. All right, so we already got night, and we got available. We we did use relieve. Man, it's getting
Lid.
relieved of his head. Oh, lid was that thing that they.
Yeah, yeah. Where they found the kids. Yep. I think we have everything except for the golden bowls. Oh, exchange. Well, we can use exchange right now. Like in exchange for Leon's help, they're willing to. Maybe this is when he meets with the king. Maybe King Otto is like, in exchange for your help, when we succeed, he'll give him some land or something.
Yeah. So all right, he tells them, what do they get out of it? The stranger tells him he knows the parents, the ones that were hanged for treason. We just want a just and fair society. He can help bring it. In exchange for his help, he will receive land
He will be handsomely rewarded.
in the new kingdom of. Leon nods. The stranger tells him to meet at a place with generals of King Otto to go over the plans. There we go. Yeah, about 15 minutes, and we use all of our words except for the golden cows, but we will now.
Golden bowls.
Leon meets with the generals. They tell him of the plan. Can you recite that plan that you have for the golden bowls the way you had it?
So, for context, we could say that the golden bowls are like a family heirloom in
Mm.
King Otto and King Richard's family, and King
Uh,
Otto took them away. So, in exchange for this false treaty of peace, King Otto will return the golden bowls to King Richard. But in doing so, once they open the gates, King Otto's men are going to come in and start wreaking havoc along with Leon.
so basically, they're used as heirlooms. So they tell him plan to use golden bowls. They are family heirlooms of the brothers' family. King Otto will return them for a treaty or in good faith to start treaty negotiations. It's like coming to the table with something, a good gesture, goodwill to start. Once they open the gates to the king's, castle, he and other skilled fighters will pop out and take the king.
Oh, they're going to pop out, kill everybody, and open the gate to everyone else.
I mean, maybe they get them through. Yeah, so they're brought through the gate. It's closed.
Yep.
They pop out. They kill everyone. They drop down the gate again so everyone else can come in.
Yep.
This is a great plan. I'm surprised this is the first time we ever written about it, man. There's no one else who's ever written about something like this.
No, I think we're natural war strategists.
Gotta pat ourselves on the back here for this one. So they'll
Natural war strategists here.
open the gate for everyone else, and then right. So that's the plan. All right. So Leon likes the plan and says he must be the one to kill the king. So here we go. The night before Leon is talking, it's like the night before as they await, to go on to battle. Leon's talking to another fighter and tells them his brother is a king's guard.
Well, he doesn't know if he's alive or not.
He was sent there, right? He tells him his brother was sent to the king's guards. He doesn't know if he is alive.
And then the men say, well, if he is alive, hopefully he's on our side.
This man says his own family is also in the king's guard. If they give word of wisdom, if he is alive, he may not favor you.
If he's alive,
Look
just know he'll probably try to kill your ass.
look at the brothers. Look at the two king brothers now. Sometimes family isn't enough. Ooh. Okay. So now we have, I'm just going to put it down as ending roughly. All right. The day of battle.
Well, no, they have this meeting, right? King Otto and King Richard meet. They come to this treaty.
Oh, well, King Otto, King Richard. I don't think they should ever have the treaty. I think the cows should be used. I think the cows should be a goodwill gesture to start the treaty, but they don't actually like. He's sending it
Oh,
to
okay.
be like, out of goodwill, King Otto has sent over the family heirlooms to open up doors for a treaty, and
Okay,
then
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah,
they're like
I
send
like
through
that.
the heirlooms, and it's just like that goodwill gesture to start the talks. But King Otto ain't about that life either. So the day of battle, right? The men and Leon enter the cows or
The
bulls
cargo with the cows.
enter the golden bowls. It's hot, but they await their cue. The men take the golden bowls to the front gates of the castle. The other soldiers look down and ask why they are there. King Otto's men explain the golden bowls. They open the gates and allow for them to come in. As the sound of the gate closing is heard, the fighters pop out, take heads. A few of them rush the gate and reopen it. As it opens, they sound the alert. The gate is now open. Hundreds of men
Charge within.
charge from behind trees into the kingdom, wreaking havoc.
They fight their way up to where the king is living.
That's right. Leon takes stock of the situation and sees they've blown a hole to the riverbed. Water rushes into the kingdom. But no time for this. He has revenge to deal with, right? Leon gets to the main, I don't know,
Palace.
yeah, main palace. Begins his search, finding expensive art on walls, women, young children.
They're all panicking.
Doesn't care for this. Just as he's about to leave a room, actually, as he enters a room,
Oh, he sees the knight turned around.
A man stands still yet firm.
Gazing out of the window.
He's just in the middle of the room with his sword. Stands firm.
Maybe he enters the king's room or something. The king's room.
Whatever.
Finds
with his sword.
alone,
With his sword out.
a lone king's guard
on the ground. It's a king's guard. Mask down. You've made a mistake, traitor. You should have stayed a soldier. He doesn't even know who he is, right?
Yeah.
You made a mistake, traitor. King Otto can't save you now. Prepare for your death.
Prepare to die.
King's guard lifts the sword and charges. Leon parries.
Battle sequence ensues. How much time do we have left?
Yeah, you're right. 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Battle sequence.
I'm like, oh, maybe I'll have to make this battle sequence sick.
David's like,
and
he throws, he does a slice. The king's guard ducks.
ensues. All right, let's put it like this, right? Helmet is
Leon knocks off his
knocked
helmet.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Knocked off. Leon, what's the word? Shock pretty much. Leon
is in shock. Says, Gavin,
my younger brother.
Gavin.
Gavin is also in shock and calls back out, Leon, All right. They talk, and I'll make this very short. They talk. Leon tells him to join them, but they don't see eye to eye. Gavin must fight. They battle again. Gavin is killed. As he dies, he tells him he's happy to see him one last time.
Damn.
One last time. All right, we got 1 minute, under 1 minute. Leon tears through the house and kills King like a madman. The war is over. King Otto ascends to the throne.
King Otto is crowned the next day.
With 1 second, there you go.
That was a pretty long story.
That was that really was.
That was that was a
Oh,
pretty long story with lots of things happening. I'm surprised we even made it. That battle sequence would have been the end of us.
oh yeah,
Damn.
that battle sequence definitely would have killed it. But oh man, I don't know, Kevin. I think this might be.
This one's pretty good.
This one's pretty good. I think this might be among the top.
We'll see when we read
I
it
can
back
see
out.
this being like a proper film story. Like this might be one to
Take a second
elaborate
look at.
on. You know,
Yeah.
there's like some dynamics here that are very cool in some ways that it can really just be bolstered up.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I think I'll take the beginning up to. I'll take the beginning up to when he passes out from fighting the King's Guard after he kills him.
So beginning to passing out. Yeah.
So when he wakes up and meets
Yeah.
Sir William,
The slave. Yeah, that works.
and then you could do that till the end.
Yeah, 100%.
Boy, oh boy.
We got a treat for you guys right here. For you guys and gals.
That's right. So to recap for everyone, our 5 words were lid, rebel, exchange, avail, relieve. Generate 2 images. One of a stampede of golden cows on a flooded street with chaos ensuing in the back, and another of a knight in a red cape with a specific kingdom crest, but a formidable looking knight indeed. All right, so the kingdom is under civil unrest, on the hinge of civil war. It's just rife with conflict. The 2 brothers of the just passing king are struggling to ascend the throne and take the power, one being King Otto and the other King Richard.
Yeah.
It gets to the point where King Otto decides to split away from the kingdom to take his lands that he controls and start his own kingdom. King Richard sees this as treason and publicly announces that any civilians of his kingdom who tries to side with King Otto will be labeled as traitors and sentenced to death. Leon and Gavin's parents knows the ways of how men and children are in King Richard's kingdom. At the very young ages of 14, they're sent off to serve in the army. They could either go in the King's Guard if they're picked and deemed special or talented, or they're sent to the infantrymen who are just sent off to war. To try and avoid this, Leon and Gavin's parents try to escape while hiding Leon and Gavin with them. As they're leaving their village, they're met by some of King Richard's henchmen. King Richard's henchman captures them, searches through their belongings, and finds Leon and Gavin hiding within a large basket or barrel after they uncover the lid. They take the 2 boys under custody as well. The next day, in the town square, a group of traitors are brought to the stage where they will be publicly executed under King Richard's rule. Leon and Gavin are brought and forced to watch this public execution. As different civilians are hung one after another, Leon and Gavin spot their mom and dad being escorted up to the noose, having the rope tied around their neck, and with a signal hung in front of them as they watch in horror. The guards have a talk with the commanding officers, unsure of what to do with the boys. One of the commanding officers says, "Send the older one to the infantry island. This young one, let's see if he can survive the King's Guard training. If he does, good. If not, we've just trimmed the fat." So, while on Infantry Island, Leon is training as a soldier, being treated very poor, getting scraps for food under very harsh conditions, going through heavy training. One night he's talking with his barracks mate. He tells him that his younger brother Gavin was sent through the King's Guard Island. The roommate describes exactly what goes on King's Guard Island. Here's where we flash over to Gavin arriving on the King's Guard Island. Some of the people, it's such a treacherous journey over there. Some of the people haven't even made it off the boat. Gavin is paired with another boy, and they are all shipped into a room. A little tiny square room that's dark, along with other groups of younger teenagers and young adults. One of the guards, the King's Guard, walks in, looks around. He says, "The partner that you're handcuffed to, either one or two of you make it out of this alive." He proceeds to take out a knife and drops it in the middle of the room, exits the room, shuts the door, and locks it. All the kids and teens and young adults stare at the knife, and immediately everyone is dashing for it. We see at the end of this, there's piles of bodies within as the King guards open the door, and there's young Gavin, all bloodied up, dragging his now dead partner along. So we go back to Leon. They're getting ready to be shipped into battle. Right now they're marching towards the battlefield where they will be meeting King Otto's forces. Leon sees how him and his countrymen are being treated by King Richard's commanding officers in general. Wave after wave of infantrymen are just sent to their slaughter like cattle. He sees his forces go in, get taken down by arrows, but the commanding officer just keeps on sending men in by the numbers. After this battle, Leon gets a few cuts from swords, some stab wounds, gets treated for them, and immediately gets sent back into the battlefield. This only deepens his resentment and hate for King Richard's kingdom. Fast forward 3 years, Leon has actually worked his way quite far within King Richard's army. He now controls his own cavalry unit of 10 capable men. Instead of being a pawn, he's able to use his force as strategy. And he's proven his strategic capabilities on the battlefield over these years. On one particular battle, their general ends up getting killed by King Otto's forces. Leon sees this as an opportunity. He's now a free man as far as he's concerned. So he takes this opportunity to leave, to desert the army. He makes his way through the deep forest, running as fast as he can away from the battlefield. He falls over near a riverbed, looks into the reflection, sees himself and a mountain of skulls behind him, telling him the amount of death and brutality he's committed over the past 3 years under the banner of a king that he has deep hatred for. He looks up and he sees his parents just standing there, an illusion of his parents. He rubs his eyes and sees their illusion disappear. Leon decides to take matters in his own hands. He's going to take his own revenge against King Richard on his own terms. So he starts going into King Richard controlled villages that were left to some of the nobles of King Richard's kingdom. He starts to kill off the nobles and liberating these villages one by one. His feats become one of legend around the countryside. Peasants start telling tales of the immortal one liberating all these villages, wondering when the mortal one will come and liberate their village. This starts to strike fear in the nobles as they start sending their grievances and concerns back to the king. King Richard hears of his nobles' concerns. He takes one of his king's guard, tells the king, this particular king's guard, to take a group of men and go to this village, because by pattern of these villages that are being liberated, Leon should be heading towards this particular village next. Leon reaches this village, works his way up to the noble's estate, and right as he kills the noble's bodyguards and about to kill the noble, a fully armored knight comes out, donning a red cape and a sword. Leon recognizes this as one of the king's guardsmen, but he's killed so many men over the years. He's had so much battle experience, he just assumes that he's going to run over this king's guard like anyone else. And boy, is he mistaken. During the battle with the king's guardsman, he realizes that he had no chance at all. The king's guardsman's skill was so vastly better than Leon, and he doesn't understand why. He gets dealt a near fatal wound on his midsection. The knight is standing over Leon as he's bent over with his sword against Leon's nape, asking Leon if he has any last words. Leon looks at the king's guard and spits some blood on the king's guard's shoes, on his boots. This angers the king's guard as he raises his sword, but feels a shock as he's taken aback as he lets out a yell. The king's guard turns around to find a child holding a crossbow, and Leon sees the arrow that has penetrated the king's guard's back. He takes this moment of distraction to pick up his own sword and relieve this king's guard of his own head. The child is sitting there, shaking, not knowing really what he has just done. Leon goes and reassures the child, but in the meantime, to go, please get help, because he's bleeding out as we speak. As the boy leaves to get help, Leon faints and goes unconscious from the loss of blood.
Okay. Leon awakes to find that his wounds have been stitched up. As he searches around him to get a sense of where he is, he comes to realize he's in an old wooden shack. Where? We don't know. Just as he starts to try to push himself up to see if he can walk out, an elderly man opens the door and steps in, glances over at Leon. "You're finally awake," the old man says. Leon asks, "Where are they?" And the man tells him he's in one of the slave shacks off the side of the property. He himself was a slave up until the time that the noble had run off because of his actions. The elder tells Leon not to worry, as the other knights and nobles are too above coming to the slave shacks. They generally leave that part of the property alone, unless need to go. But they probably think Leon's already dead. As Leon lives with this elderly man and his wounds begin to heal bit by bit, still not great, he wonders aloud if he can really take on the king, knowing that the king's guardsmen await him. No matter how he gets to the king, they will be there to defend. The slave man tells Leon that the force against him is formidable, but he should not worry. He watched him battle and thinks his skills are pretty good, but in order to take on the king and ultimately the king's guard, he needs to up his skills. Leon damn near chuckles at the thought. Where is he to find someone who can train him to get to that level? It'll take him forever to do on his own. The slave tells Leon that things aren't always as they appear. See, he was once young, like him, and was once in the king's guard. Leon's face is struck with shock. "You, slave? My name was once Sir William. I was no slave. I fought gallantly for the king." Leon sits there in silence. He questions and cannot believe what he's told. "How did you end up as a slave here?" Leon asks. Sir William tells Leon that he once fought hard for King Richard, but his support for him began to shake as the two brothers had their falling out. This was well before King Otto decided to leave for a separate kingdom. This was in the time when they were still trying to work things out. But King Richard became more evil by the day. As he voiced his support, they deemed he must live out the rest of his days as a slave. Hell, had he had done it after King Otto had left, they probably would have killed him for voicing that support for him. Leon sits and digests the information. As the days pass, Leon gets stronger and heals. He's able to begin his training with Sir William. Sir William teaches the techniques of the King's Guard. As his skills get better and better, they begin to surpass even that of Sir William's to a certain extent. And then one day, Sir Williams approaches Leon and tells him he has taught him everything he knows from the King's Guard. There's nothing left to teach him. However, there was some skills that he picked up after the King's Guard. You see, when they tried to turn him into a slave, he tried to vanish. And for a long time, he was able to escape punishment by dodging and evading them. Ultimately, he was captured. But what he learned was the mastery of stealth and how it can be beneficial in a fight against your target. This I shall teach unto you, Sir William tells Leon. And so begins the training of stealth. Like everything in life, there comes a day where you must leave to take destiny into your own hands. Leon eventually comes to this day. He thanks his mentor and tells him one day they'll see each other again. But for now, the business of revenge for his parents and to find his brother is top priority. And he goes off on his journey. As he does, he wreaks more havoc on other noble lands, freeing slaves and children. As he has had to do before, there's now infantry there. The same men that he learned and fought alongside await him. He gets through these men, now with his newfound skills, his new taught skills, quickly, decisively. As one day he sits in a pub, after many months of killing, and tries to blend in so others don't know who he is. But a man watches from the other side of the bar. Finally, this man gets up, a stranger, and approaches him. He asks, "Can I sit with you?" Leon rejects his offer. Becoming weary of the man, he prepares his blade. The stranger sits anyways, across from him, palms open. Leon decides he should get up and leave, but the stranger then reveals King Otto's crest. Leon asks, "Who are you, and what do you want with me?" The stranger tells Leon that they've been looking for him for quite some time. They've heard of his battles and victories across the noble's land, and that King Otto himself has requested they find him. Leon sits there in shock, not thinking King Otto would even care for a person like him. The stranger then asks, quite bluntly, if he's available to help with their mission to take on King Richard. Leon tells this stranger he goes it alone, but he will not interfere with King Otto's plans. The stranger tells him that they won't stop him either. However, he should reconsider, as they are willing to give him weapons or make weapons. Leon asks, what do they get out of all of this? Why? Why him? Especially if he doesn't want to help them. The stranger tells him they know about his parents, that they once supported King Otto and were hung for that treason. King Otto is aware of who they are, keeps them in his prayers. Leon's shocked by this. A king keeps his parents in his thoughts. Frankly, Leon thought he was the only one. The stranger tells them they just want a just and fair society, and they think his skills can help them bring an end to this war and closer to peace. In exchange for his help, King Otto is willing to give him land after this conflict has subsided. Leon nods. I shall help the king, as my parents confided in King Otto once before. The stranger tells him that he should meet with the generals, as they have a plan to move quickly on putting an end to King Richard. Leon leaves the pub, and as the next day follows, he travels to the lands of which the generals await. They tell him of this almost ridiculous plan of using golden heirloom bulls that the family once owned, but King Otto took with him when he escaped as a peace offering to get into the kingdom. But inside those bulls, they've been hollowed out, and fighters such as himself will be waiting on the inside. So once they get past the gates, they will rush the guards, kill them off, and drop the gate for the rest of the invading force. Leon listens to this crazy plan, but likes it. His only one request is when they get to King Richard, he be the one that takes the final blow. The generals nod and let him know as long as the king falls, they do not care whose blade it comes from. As the night draws close, the rest of the fighting force sleeps as best as they can and thinks about tomorrow's victory. Leon's talking to another fighter and tells him, his brother was once sent to the king's guard. Knowing the fate of most men that go through the king's guards, battles and trials don't make it alive. He's unsure if his brother is even around. This soldier tells him he also has had family go through there. And even if he is alive, he may not favor you or your ideas anymore. The king's guards has a way of brainwashing these men as they are there to protect the king. Hell, look at the two king brothers now. Sometimes family isn't enough. It's the day of the battle, the day where these men believe they're marching to glory. As they get closer to the kingdom, Leon and the other fighters enter into the Golden Bulls. It's closed up, and they await for their cue. As some of the other soldiers pull these Golden Bulls into position in front of the gates of the castle, King Richard's men, soldiers, look down upon these Golden Bulls in curiosity. But at the end of the day, they have a job to do. Who are you? They shout out. We are here on behalf of King Otto. He wants to make a peace offering, and by doing so, he gives back the Golden Bulls. Open the gate, says the soldier. As the gates are lowered, the bulls are dragged in by King Richard's men. Be gone. Once we hear from King Richard, we'll contact you again. The soldiers from King Otto's group retreats back into the forest. The bulls are dragged inside the kingdom, and as the gates are heard locking up, the fighters realize it's their cue. They pop out, and within a few short minutes, heads are rolling, not of King Otto's fighters, but all from King Richard's men. Two of them rush over to the gate and reopen it. As it hits the ground, the sound that alerts the rest of the men that the gate is open is heard. Hundreds of men come charging behind trees into the kingdom, and they are there to wreak havoc. As Leon stands in the middle and takes stocks of the situation before him, a hole is blown through the wall into the riverbed. Water begins to gush into the kingdom, washing away most of the villages around the castle and palace at the top. But as Leon looks around, he realizes he has no time for this. The king still lives, and he must be dealt with. After fighting his way to the main palace, he begins his search. All around him is expensive art, women and children, food everywhere. As Leon gets to the room of which he believes the king is the king's bedroom, he slowly opens the door. The room is beautiful. Expensive rugs, tapestries, gold everywhere. It must be the king's room. But as he walks in, a man clearly not the king, but one of The king's guards stands in the middle of the room, sword out, tip on ground, handle in hands. Nothing is said. Imposing, scary, all the above. As Leon looks and takes stock of this king's guard, finally, the king's guardman finally speaks. You've made a mistake, and King Otto cannot save you now. Prepare for your death. The king's guard lifts the sword and charges full speed. Leon parries quickly and tries to slash back. Their strength and skill seem to match each other. They fight tooth and nail, giving each other good licks. And as Leon takes some damaging blows, so does the king's guard. In a last ditch effort, Leon swipes up and slices a bit of the face of the king's guard as the helmet is knocked off. With shock, as blood begins to run down the king's guard's face, Leon recognizes this man. Gavin? My brother? Gavin, who has looked upon this man the whole battle, did not realize he was battling his own brother, as he looks completely different than the way he last left him, both having gone through major battles, and their bodies and faces being showing all the fighting they've done over the years. Gavin asks Leon how did he survive? But Leon can ask him the same question. Leon tells him to join him. King Otto is going to give him a plot of land. And if he joins him, I'm sure he can get one too. They can live out the rest of their days in peace and put all this fighting behind them, for it is what their parents would have wanted. As it appears these words are cutting into Gavin, he shakes his head. Those days are behind us now. I fight for King Richard. He is the rightful heir, and it is King Otto who has left the kingdom behind. You should join me and put down your sword. But Leon can't do this. He's vowed revenge on King Richard for killing their parents. He tries to reason with him. He killed our parents. But this does not get through to Gavin. Finally, Leon says, if I can't convert you to our side and you won't walk away, we will have to finish this. Gavin simply lifts his sword to indicate he's ready. They continue the fight, but this time Leon strikes a deadly blow. As Gavin lies on the ground, bleeding out, slowly dying, he raises his hand to Leon's face and tells him he is happy he can see him one last time. His arm goes limp. Gavin has died at the hands of his brother. Tears begin to roll down Leon's face. But there's one man that caused all of this pain and trauma to happen. King Richard. Leon tears through the house, screaming like a madman, telling him to come out and face his consequence. King Richard finally appears in a separate room and is holding a sword as if he means to kill Leon. But Leon dispatches of this king quickly, as he's the true warrior. The war can finally end. Leon cuts off the head of King Richard and puts it at the end of his sword and marches outside. As the rest of the king is fighting, he raises his sword with the king's head at the tip into the air. Horns are blown all over to signal the end of this fight. The next day, King Otto is crowned and ascends the throne and merges the two kingdoms back together. At the very end, Leon does get his plots of land, where he vows to never pick up the sword again. The end.
Very good.
Woo.
What a doozy of a story.
That was.
But man, I think that's probably one of the top ones, I think.
I
That's a
think
pretty
so.
good one.
I think so. I'd watch it.
Of course. Yeah, that'd be something I'd watch too. 1000%. All right,
It's a
Shaw.
story where you can root for somebody, you know?
Yeah.
And by the way, when you read through the part with the first Knights Kingsguard, I was like, oh, you brought up like the cape or whatever, the red cape,
Yeah.
and I was like, it'd be cool is like if that cape signifies how good they are, like it changes color, like it's like washed with the blood of their enemies. So like The more red it is, also indicates like how skillful they are because they survive so many fights, let's say. And so I was like, maybe the first one is like it still has like white or whatever color, and it's like part of it's red at the very bottom, but like most of it's white, and it's just like it also like signifies like, damn, that was a hard fight, and he almost died. And this dude is just like he's a king's guard, but like it's not completely red. Like it's just he's just decent.
Yeah.
And then
No, I like that concept.
by the time he gets to his brother, like this thing is just like bloodshot red from top to bottom. Like this is about to be one hell of a fight. You know what I mean?
Maybe because in the UFC, whenever the champion defends his belt, they put a ruby on his belt. So like, now he has a ruby on his sword.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
this night
maybe.
pulls it out.
Yeah,
It's just full of bling. He's
just
like,
full of
oh,
bling. Yeah, just something like there could be something cool and like signifying like this dude is like dressed. He's a king's guard, but he's dressed like whatever it is that just showcased that like he's not at the top. And then he finally meets his brother, and he was like before he knows his brother because the mask down. It's just like this dude's just like he has all of it. It's just like, man, you're in for it now. You know,
this dude's blinged out.
you
He's
know
got everything.
it's about to be a battle of a lifetime. I hope you're ready. No, man, I think this story is pretty top.
Pretty good, pretty good. Now we're gonna see what AI
Has to say.
can do.
Yeah.
We brought our A game. Let's see what AI can do.
Oh, we brought it all right.
We brought it. We came to play today. All right. Can you create a story using the words lid, available, exchange, rebel, relieve? Please also incorporate scenes with stampede of golden bulls and fully armored knight in whatever parts of the story you deem fit. Okay. Yeah, we can just keep it as that and see what it comes into play. I don't think we have to give it the knight and everything. I mean, the two brothers and everything. All right, let's see. Title: The Golden Bull Stampede of Rebellious Exchange.
The Golden Bull Stampede Rebellious Exchange. The title's whack. A stampede of magnificent golden bulls. Nah, this story, I can already tell you this story is not going to do it.
But maybe it's funny.
Maybe. Of Edendor.
Arendor.
That R? Yeah, Arendor.
That's a good city name. I like that.
Yeah, that is
city
actually.
name.
Or maybe we'll steal that.
Yeah, we'll steal Arendor. The Kingdom of Arendor.
The Kingdom of Arendor.
All right.
Golden Bull Guardian.
Well, that's the title's right here, so I don't know what that's from.
Yeah.
All right. Once upon a time, in the heart of the city of Arendor, a grand exchange was afoot. The city was known for its splendid markets, where goods from every corner of the known world were available for trade. As Arendor buzzed with excitement, everyone seemed to overlook the stranger who'd just walk into the city square. Clad in full gleaming armor, the stranger had a certain aura about him that screamed rebel. His visor concealed his identity, and an enormous lid-shaped shield was strapped to his back, decorated with the emblem of a golden bull. It was a peculiar sight for the locals, who were busy with their day-to-day activities, but their attention soon shifted. Suddenly, from the city gates emerged a stampede of magnificent golden bulls. The townsfolk gasped as the bulls, as if touched by the sun, blazed through the main thoroughfare. The sight was stunning yet terrifying. The city that was once filled with cheerful bartering was now filled with panic scream. The armored stranger stepped forth without hesitation. His armor clanked loudly against the cobblestones, but his stride was sure. People watched in dread and fascination as the stranger walked towards the stampede. Pulling out a horn from his side, the stranger blew into it. A sound that was at once mournful and magnificent filled the air. To everyone's surprise, the bulls began to slow, their stampede dwindling to a trot and finally a halt. As if in a trance, they turned toward the stranger. He reached out a hand, and the lead bull, a magnificent creature with a golden sheen, approached him. The stranger gently touched the bull's forehead. The creature let out a bellow, a sound that seemed to resonate with relief. The people of Arendor, watching this, were filled with awe. They cheered the stranger and began to celebrate. The marketplace turned into a festival ground. the earlier terror forgotten in the joy of the moment. From that day forward, the golden bulls were seen as sacred creatures, protectors of Arendor. The stranger, the rebel in full armor, was hailed as their guardian, his shield with the emblem of the golden bull becoming a symbol of safety and prosperity. The exchange that has been scheduled for that day was no longer about goods or trinkets. Instead, it became an exchange of respect and gratitude, as the people thanked the stranger for his courageous act. It also became an exchange of stories, as the tale of the rebel and the golden bulls was told and retold, passed down through generations. And thus, the city of Arendor had a new legend to its name, a tale that embodied bravery and camaraderie. It was a tale about a stranger who came for not to trade, but to relieve a city of its impending doom. A rebel in armor who tamed a stampede of golden bulls. Okay. Strange story. You
Very
know, attack of the golden bulls on this
right.
peaceful
On it.
city man. This man just happened to have a magical horn
Right.
that
I mean,
sent him into
not that it's
tranquility.
not possible. I mean, you could get that to work in the story. It's just so like, who cares?
Right. This is like a scene in a story. It's
Right.
not like a full story.
I said the attack of the golden bulls. We have to do something about this. These bulls.
I do like the shield with the emblem of a
Yeah.
golden bull.
Yeah. That was
I think that was pretty
something.
cool.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Other than that, and the city name.
nah, not even close.
Yeah. No, it was just that and the city name of something that was like that could be something to take away, but like
Like I could see this as a chapter or like a scene,
yeah,
in a bigger story.
a more interesting story. This ain't interesting. I'm gonna call it. Our story definitely took the crown as King Otto did.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
And now we got to title our story.
All right.
Put
So
a cap to it. I got the Golden Bull Stampede. The Golden.
the king's brother, a brother's curse, curse of the brothers,
Uh huh.
curse be thy brother, a battle of the kingdoms, and I think in all seriousness, one that could work, the last night, because his
Already a movie?
I don't think so.
The Last Night.
I wouldn't be surprised if it were though.
I
Oh,
feel
it's like a Transformer film. Transformers: The Last Night. I had no idea.
that's not what I was thinking about. I think I was thinking about A Knight's Tale.
Man, this movie did not get good ratings, bro. No, that title's still in play. 'Cause, his brother's
The Last Night. The King's Guard.
the King's Guard.
Golden Bulls. Your brother is your enemy.
Curse of the Brothers. A brother's curse. Because there's also a play on there's King brothers and then there's these brothers.
The enemy of your brother is your friend.
I guess not, because only one brother can live. When you think about both the brothers that aligned with King Richard both died, and the brothers that aligned with
That's
King
true.
Otto both survived. So like,
That's
there's
true.
definitely a brother's curse going on here. Brother kings. I think
A kingdom divided. I like The Last Night. That's not bad. That's pretty. Because his brother was basically the last king's guard standing there.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's the last night he's gonna, fight, and it's his brother. Last Night, brought to you by, I don't know, Sony Pictures. All right, that's
The Last Night. All right, folks. You heard that there. That was The Last Night. I think that was one of our better ones. One of our top ones so far.
Yeah.
So far, because next week we'll be back with a new set of words, some more random images, and a brand new story. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.